give everybody a brief introduction, this webinar is purely informational about video surveillance and what TechnoLink has to offer. My name's Connor. I'm the Director of Video Surveillance here at TechnoLink of the Rockies. My goal is to share video surveillance and new technologies with our customers. And like I had mentioned before, I'm going to keep everybody on mute up until the end. I'll unmute everybody and open it up to questions. In the meantime, though, if you guys would like, feel free to ask questions in this chat bar. I'll pause periodically to take a look and see if anything comes up at the end of each slide. And just a brief overview, going to be touching on where technology is right now, where it's going, algorithm software and video surveillance cameras, which is huge right now with a lot of companies. Video cameras in the workplace, how they can help keep your business and your staff safe. And then lastly, just going over a couple businesses that are utilizing some of these AI softwares, specifically in Colorado and outside of Colorado. So we will jump right in here. So as most of us are aware, we're seeing a big shift of working from in office or, at buildings to remote work from home. And it has definitely kind of changed the landscape of how we do business. We're seeing roughly 88% of organizations having their workers work from home or work remotely since the start of the pandemic. This led to a lot of fears that business productivity would decrease, and we're actually seeing the opposite effects. We're seeing about 35 to 40% more productivity with people working from home than working in offices. We're also seeing the emergence of some new technologies. Zoom had reached 200 million daily users back in April, and that had really blew out of the water their original numbers, which was 10 million daily users back in December of 2019. And some other interesting information is we're probably going to see about 74% of companies permanently shift to remote work versus working at the office. Couple of interesting stats here. We're seeing a big emergence of delivery goods. Meal delivery is up about 70% year over year compared to 2019. We're seeing about 75% delivery ordering going on compared to 20%, and that was pre-COVID-19. And then we're seeing the shift of dine-in restaurants kind of changing their tactics and utilizing takeout and delivery services when they might not have offered it before or even existed as a tactic of theirs. And then finally, what we'll be discussing is video surveillance and some of the new technologies we're seeing come out. So three that I'd like to touch on real quickly is thermal temperature reading, face mask detection, and people counting cameras. These cameras are really starting to make a name for themselves in the last couple of months because we're seeing many businesses try to open their doors and get people back to work. And we've got to find a safe and alternative way to get people, customers and staff in the building without, compromising health and safety standards. And for instance, right now we're seeing a lot of hospitals, shopping centers, office buildings utilize these practices around the US right now. Alrighty, so what is algorithm software? This is something that is in all of our video surveillance cameras, and it's pretty much what carries out computational tasks for what we deem necessary. So for instance, people counting, license plate recognition, and region detection, these are softwares built into our NVRs and the cameras themselves that will carry out what we deem necessary or we want the cameras to do. People counting, counting people, license plate recognition, reading a license plate, region detection, making sure that the area we deem necessary can send us alerts if after hours we see something that's going on that we don't deem necessary. And then moving on to thermal imaging and how that works. Basically, all it is we've got thermographic cameras that are now able to read temperatures of people. And This is somewhat new. It's been rolling out the last 3 months. We're starting it to see gain a lot of traction in airports and hospitals, and it's taking a thermal image of a person, and we're actually attaching a temperature to that person to make sure that they're entering a facility with the correct temperature, and if it's over what we deem necessary, we alert those people. So diving a little deeper into these thermographic cameras, and what are they really? So basically, a thermographic camera is a thermal image given to us from these cameras, and we actually get a side-by-side view of a normal color image, and the camera then determines body signatures, temperatures, the person entering the facility, and then gives us a real-time temperature above their head, as you guys can see on the picture here. And what's great about these cameras is that they're not only generating temperature readings for us to see, but we can actually associate audio cues to help protect the facility and the people entering the building. So for example, we may have an audio warning that notifies the person looking at the NVR or push notifications, and then it will send an audio cue to the person entering the building saying, please do not enter the building, you have an elevated temperature at this time. And this is a great application for non-contact by staff or volunteers, and ultimately this is keeping everybody healthy and safe. And just a quick note, any questions that arise, feel free to throw them in the group chat there. I'll slow down if anybody needs me to or not. One really great application we can pair with these temperature reading cameras is face mask detection. And it works exactly how it sounds. It pretty much determines if someone is or is not wearing a face mask when entering the building. And it does exactly what the temperature cameras does. We can add audio cues. If somebody walks up to the building with a face mask off, we can have an audio cue come out and say, please put on a face mask at this time or do not enter the building. And another really good application that we're finding many people using is the people counting. People counting is, again, pretty straightforward. It's going to give us a live time view of how many people have left, how many people have entered the building, and then a live count of how many people are inside. And this photo right here in the top right is a little cut off, but you can see at the top right that we have entering X amount of people and people leaving X number there. And as we're seeing Colorado, we're seeing occupancy limits drop and to keep businesses safer. So this is something that we are trying to push for our customers and keep them safe. And moving on here, just briefly touch on license plate recognition and region detection. License plate recognition is pretty straightforward. LPR cameras will first detect a vehicle. They then locate a license plate, and then it will snap a still image of the license plate while still recording in live video. If you take a look at the picture on the screen here, this is actually from one of our license plate recognition cameras. It's about 30 feet out. It's in the middle of night, and as you can see, 2 taillights, and that license plate is lit up like a Christmas tree. I blocked out some of the numbers because that's how good this camera is. And region detection, shifting gears here. This is something that we offer in both our premise and cloud systems. It actually is able to be implemented on any of our cameras. It's something that's really great. All this does is we're able to set pretty much parameters on the screen that will take frame by frames, and we will send out alerts if we deem them necessary. So if we want to set our cameras to after hours, let's say 6 p.m. to 5 a.m., and we want it to record, and anytime we see somebody enter a view for more than 5 seconds, it will then send an alert to whoever the necessary person may be. That may be your head of video surveillance, it might be security, it could be the owner of the building. The options are endless. But it's something that comes in all of our systems, both cloud and premise, and really great. It's almost a dual feature for security. If you have alarms on your doors. This is kind of an added protection and really keeps your business safe. Alrighty, 2 quick side notes here. Just want to touch on something that's going on in Colorado currently. Amazon right now, the fulfillment center in Thornton, Colorado, has implemented some of these thermographic temperature cameras. This started back in April due to workers being concerned about COVID-19, number of employees being at the building at once, and this was something that they wanted to try out and test and then kind of implement in other Amazon fulfillment centers if it worked all right. So their findings were basically that the cameras were removing time associated with one specific employee checking temperatures. It was removing the contact or face-to-face forehead reading, which was another great benefit. And then Amazon saw a lot more positive sentiment from their employees, so they actually were able to roll this out to several of their other Amazon fulfillment centers, and it is doing really well for them right now. And lastly, this is something that is a little more small business and not in the state of Colorado, but in South Carolina. 929 Kitchen and Bar is just a small restaurant in South Carolina. They were the first ones to implement a thermographic temperature camera. And the reason behind this was that sales had been 70% of what they were pre-COVID-19. 929 was not able to solely rely on takeout, and so they really needed to get people back in the doors, back in the seats, get more people back to work. And the owner actually went out and asked employees and frequent customers their take on being screened with this camera, if it would bother them. And almost all of them said, they would be more inclined to dine in if they have some sort of device that was verifying everyone is safe, temperatures aren't above a certain amount, and they'd be more inclined to dine in. And since he implemented that, he's had a lot more business. And he's actually heard from a lot of customers that they would choose to eat there versus competitors just because they know everybody in the facility is being safe, they're being cautious, and they're taking their temperatures before entering the restaurant. And lastly, but not least, just a couple of quick references for everyone. I've got a couple of resources here, just our website, asktechnolink.com. Our second link there is our surveillance services. You can click on that and that'll take you straight to all of our video surveillance products, and you can get in contact with me if it's something that you guys want further information on. And then lastly, our solutions tab, which offers everything that we do. And we've got IT management, cloud solutions, video conferencing, just to name a few, but we've got everything on there that we currently support. All righty, everyone, I'm going to sign off. Greatly appreciate it, and have a nice day. Enjoy your lunches.